Well, it's been a minute since we did one of these because it's been a minute since there was a new Hammond Collection release. I am freshly back from Target with a Dilophosaurus. Plus, you can see behind me way in the back a Dreadnoughtus now. I'm not going to review that, not Hammond Collection, but it is pretty cool. Although I will say, just to preface the Dreadnoughtus, mine has paint splotches on the legs that look really bad. Like the paint just got splattered on it. Unfortunate, but at least it's only the legs. Something to keep in mind if you're looking for a Dreadnoughtus. Also picked up Sattler. Don't review the humans because they're just humans. She's back here in this mess somewhere. Actually, hold on. There she is, Sattler. Her legs are a little weird at the ankles, but yep, there's Sattler. She can just go back by this Triceratops. Oops. Knocking over a little Dilo hatchling from Kenner there. Okay, great. But yes, the point of the video, Dilo. Reflections are certainly a thing right now. Alright, let's get this guy opened up, take a look, see how he compares to the Hammond Collection iteration and the rest of the, or the Amber Collection iteration and the rest of the Hammond Collection line here. So, that's what we got when we crack the packaging open. We've got tail and we got a little bit of a neck frill, closed neck frill attachment. Pop that out first. How in the world is this in here? Well, whatever. We got it out. Yeah, so it looks like it's just kind of snaps onto the neck. So I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the Amber Collection one actually like wraps around the neck, so you like detach the head or whatever and then attach it. Not so with the smaller figure, which is understandable given that it's a smaller figure. I'll also say that I do really like having the Amber Collection version of the Dilo with the Hammond, because I can headcanon one as an adult. And the scaling's actually pretty good, I think, for the Amber Collection figure to be the proper adult version of the Dilo in the Hammond Collection scale. It should be about 20 feet long, so maybe a little undersized, but it's pretty damn close. I'm always going to be salty that we never got to see the full-size Dilos, and that, Dominion was a great opportunity for that, and Dominion's the one that firmly establishes that the Dilo from Jurassic Park, which is explicitly supposed to be a juvenile, is just the size of Dilophosaurus clones, which is not cool. Again, very strange for the film that made a bunch of hullabaloo about accuracy to keep the Dilo small. Strange. Also relevant to the ARC playthrough currently running on Fyodor, where there's big and small Dilos, so that's fun too. Okay, so let's look at this guy. Well, actually the frill... Oh, I see. So the frill looks like it snaps to the head. Yeah, the frill can like rotate here because I think you just pull it off if you want to get rid of it. I'm going to leave the frill on. I'm not going to stress it, so we're just going to leave it there. But the frill is loose and there is no, like the very top of the head here, there's no connection. So you can just pull it off there. A little reminiscent then of the Kenner Dilo, which I don't have on hand as a prop, but the Kenner Dilos... a little different. The Kenner Dilo Deluxe one has a completely non-film color scheme, and then the smaller one with the film color scheme is very limber and kind of a larger design. Of course, you got to snap the tail in like always. There we go, tail snapped in. We've got shoulder joints. The arms kind of stick out of the body a little weirdly, maybe. How does that compare to the other one? Yeah, see the other one, the ball joints are a little more recessed in the Amber figure. It's actually not that different in size. Like the torso's longer, everything's just a little bit bigger. The tail length is the most different piece in scale between the two figures, actually. Still works for like, an adult and a juvenile. I will go over the paint scheme, but the Amber Collection one is better. There's a very notable absence on the new figure. Well, a notable absence beyond just the fact that the end of the tail is unpainted again, which is kind of becoming a recurring trend again in these figures, which is unfortunate. It's always been a trend in the main line. It's a little unfortunate to see it cropping up more and more in these figures, though. Just playing with his feet. Yeah, I mean, the leg posability is basically the same as like the Raptor. You got the knee joint, the ankle. And you got some rotation that you can do in here. There's no there's no joint here. So you got these big kind of oversized feet again. I don't think they're as bad as some of the other figures, but they are a bit oversized. But this little L-shaped piece of the leg is one solid piece. So you can't rotate that, but you get the hip socket, you get the knee, and you get the foot itself. So you can still get to like probably any position you really want, I would say. And then, yeah, the head, we've got rotation here, which happens behind the frill, which I think is not bad. It conceals the ball joint better. I definitely like this with the frill out because it makes the front profile look really good, even though there's, you know, again, a larger joint here on the neck. And then, yeah, the head moves up and down. Do we get any rotation? We don't really get much for rotation in the head, though, beyond the neck moving up and down, which is a little jaw opens, of course. Good. It's got kind of that weird underbite look to it that a lot of the smaller figures have, where maybe it's so that you can like catch the jaw to open it, so they extend it out in the front. But you could do that with the upper jaw, extend the upper jaw out, and it'll look a little more natural. Because especially when you start to drop the jaw down, it looks even more like extended at a glance, kind of, which makes it a little This guy's got a pretty loose elbow joints, I'll say. Like there's these limbs just kind of flop, which they're not, you know, important for supporting weight or anything. So if there's going to be a loose joint in the figure, that's a good one to be loose. But yeah, the tail, I think, is bendy. Yeah, we got a wire in here again. I will say this wire does not have the weird little hook on the end that pokes into the rubber. This wire is nice and straight. Which is great. I like that. The Dilo does have a good amount of tail mobility in the first film, so we can, you know, just throw a bend in the tail for fun. And then, yeah, he can be completely off balance because I bent the tail in probably the wrong direction for the pose I put the legs into. Let's just bend this a little bit the other way to counterbalance it, and voila, he stands pretty okay. It's not going to stand so well in my hand, but, you know, on a flat surface, it works. So, good. Now, in comparison to the Amber Collection, the biggest thing that stands out to me is the lack of the white. So the Amber Collection figure has this white border on the black on the body, and especially on the thigh you can notice it, which is, you know, good because that's what it should basically look like. And that's the biggest piece of like paint decal that's like missing from the smaller figure. The other thing I only noticed today is the lower jaw colors are different. So the lower jaw of the Hammond figure is this kind of beige, whereas the Amber Collection jaw is green, matching the rest of the body, which is what it should be. The jaw should be green. And if we take a look at some actual pictures from the film and the production of the film, the original Jurassic Park, we can take a look at some of these details and evaluate them that way. So we got the front shot of the Dilo. I would say the frill. So this is interesting, actually. So if you look at the Amber Collection figure compared to the Hammond Collection figure, the frill details are actually fairly different. I think the frill is too small on the Hammond figure by a little bit. And the colors are rather different. The colors are much brighter on the Amber Collection figure. I think they should be brighter on the Hammond one. But the Hammond one kind of has this overall more muted tone in general. Like the green's a little darker green than the Amber Collection figure. The blacks are basically the same. This one's maybe actually a little bit of a bluish black, very subtly blue. Or maybe that's just the combination of the green under the black paint or something. But it does lend it kind of a different little vibe to the figure. Yeah, but if we look at the front of the face, well, you can see that the black here goes up the face and onto the crest, which is more or less the same in both figures. They both have black going up onto the crest of the head there. I should move my OBS preview so I can see where I'm actually putting things relative to the camera. But yeah, you can see the black does extend up onto the crest. The thing I'm noticing looking at this picture is the edge of the frill actually does appear rather green. Now that's curious because I think both of these are kind of wrong. I think there's too much green on the new figure, and the old Amber Collection one has almost no green. The frill color goes almost all the way out to the edge. So that's kind of curious. Regarding the patterning, I would say it looks to me like the overall patterning of the Amber Collection is more correct because there's kind of a double row of diamonds. There's this primary set of diamonds you can see here, but it looks like there's some smaller diamonds in here before the color of the frill kind of fades into the head. It's a little hard to tell. They're kind of represented on here, but with the frill being smaller, they're kind of obscured a little bit. It's not bad, because they're hard to see anyway. It's honestly kind of ambiguous if that second ring is even there. Yeah, I wouldn't be too concerned about that. Let's look at some other... Oh, the tongue we could talk about. Red tongue, red tongue. Yeah, so both tongues are wrong. Both of these have red tongues. They should have like a purple poison-looking tongue color, not just this red. So both of them are inaccurate in terms of tongue color. Let's look at another picture. So this is a body shot, the best one I could find from a behind-the-scenes shot from the Stan Winston school. And then you can see the black stripes on the body and the thigh and the white outline here. It's really, a little bit hard to see maybe. But it's definitely there, right? Obviously that is sort of present. Well, that is present in the Amber Collection figure, but the black on the body is not the best layout here. The stripes coming down the flanks of the animal on the original figure are very short. They lack the, they should kind of come down like halfway down the side of the torso, and they really, really don't. The body paint is better on the Amber Collection than the Hammond, but neither one's correct. Actually, the Hammond one, interestingly enough, has much more striping. Like, it's the Amber Collection one is basically just one solid stripe along the body, and then it's got these little pieces that point down, these little, triangular stripes that come off of it that are very short compared to the overall stripe. Whereas the Hammond Collection one has much bigger triangular stripes coming off of the main stripe along the back, and they're bigger in proportion to the rest of the body and colorization. So it's a little closer in one direction, but honestly, the lack of white outline on the stripes is the bigger sticking point for me. That's a pretty egregious absence in my mind. That's like one of the most distinctive aspects of the colorization of that figure. Oh no, the scaling is bad. Okay, we're fine. We've recovered. That was weird. The zooming didn't quite line up. Yeah, here's another shot of the head where you can see the white outline does continue onto the crest, and you do get that on the original Amber Collection figure. It's not well painted, but it is there. There is white around the stripe, but it is not very continuous. And you could see too that the neck has a stripe on it, It has the black outlined with the white stripe on it. The Amber Collection one weirdly has like a double stripe, which I don't know if that's accurate. It doesn't look like it's accurate to me. It looks to me like it's hard to tell if there's maybe a double stripe on this Dilo neck here, or if it's a stripe on each side of the neck, because there's like technically 3 stripes on the Amber Collection figure. But the Hammond one has 4 stripes, 2 on each side, which is an interesting difference. That could also be what's going on here, a main stripe and then a secondary stripe coming off the crest on each side. Not sure. Very strange. Hard to get pictures of like the body and the stuff you don't see in the film for this that are clear. You get these like really grainy behind the scenes ones. This is like the best behind the scenes picture I could get. You could see the second row of diamonds on the frill there pretty well. Again, they're much more ambiguous in the film, but that's another point for the Amber Collection one where you can see them about the same there. Any other comments on this image? I don't think so. Yeah, this is a really nice behind the scenes one. You can actually see that the colorization on the crest continues to the inside. Neither figure has that. Both the interior of the crests on both figures is unpainted, both the Hammond and the Amber. So nobody wins in that regard for accuracy. You can see the body striping here again a little bit. You can see the wires connecting to the frill. And yeah, you can see that kind of discolored edge a little bit there. I think the lack of the ridge on the Amber one looks better compared to the oversized ridge on the Hammond, but I think both of them are off, technically. What else we got? We got this picture. Just some like lightened shots of the Dilo. Okay, yeah, so there's a stripe that connects to the face. And then there's a stripe that connects to the crest. So it looks like it should be 4 stripes actually then. And you can, or maybe 3. It's hard to tell if that stripe on the ridge of the neck is connecting to the other side. So yeah, the double striping is actually correct then. The red on the throat is absent on both figures, but that's connected to the closed crest generally. Like the little attachment here has the red throat, so you would get it from that. Oddly, this is, again, a beige piece, like the lower jaw, which is maybe so that it matches the color of the lower jaw, but there's no beige on the Dilo. Very weird choice for plastic color on that. Not a fan. Another good shot of the black continuing up onto the crest, but that's already accurate between the 2 figures. Should be red on the underside of the jaw, actually, too. Yeah, the both figures' jaws don't have any red on the underside. That should be present regardless. That's where like the venom sac is that you can actually see when he's in the car, which has never been included in a figure that I've ever seen. Most people forget the venom sac is even visible in the film. It's very noticeable in the concept art. Very hard to catch it in the film because it's there for like the last split second you see the Dilo. And you see the venom sac on the throat expanding before it spits, but then it cuts away. Cool detail. Wish it got more attention, but whatever. I mean, you do have in Dominion. I'll give points to Owen for grabbing the venom sac area under the throat, because that actually seems reasonable to me. A lot of people complained about that, but if it's an externally inflating venom sac and you disrupt that, it's probably uncomfortable for the creature. Might, retreat from that. I don't mind that scene. Yeah, so ultimately between the 2 figures, I'd say the obvious winner is the Amber Collection, which is not surprising given that I put it at the top of S tier personally. I think it's a fantastic figure, even though there's a few little minor paint issues that are not accurate with it. The biggest of which is just the body being the black stripes not continuing far enough down the torso. In terms of the smaller figure for the Hammond Collection, it's not bad by any means. Pretty similar to the main figure. It loses points for lacking the white paint on the black stripes. That outline is just really distinctive part of the Dilo, and I feel like it's really absent here. I think the frill is maybe a little too subdued, but I don't hate the more naturalistic, darker color palette of the whole figure. At least it's like consistent. It's not like it's a bright green with a muted frill. Everything is kind of muted. And maybe it works good as like a rainstorm Dilo, you know? He's a little wet. Both figures, the paint on the tail ends at about the same place, so I can't, you know, praise one and knock the other. Yeah, I mean, as far as small dinos go, this one probably the most accurate between the Galley, the Raptor, and this, I'd say. Because the Galley is just patently not a Jurassic Park Gallimimus at all. It just isn't. And the Raptor has obvious issues. Yeah, I don't think the feet are too oversized on it. I mean, you don't really get a good look at the Dilo's feet. They are definitely oversized, and there is definitely the weird heel thing they've been doing on the figures to help them balance. Like, in this pose, the leg should really come kind of straight down from the ankle. There shouldn't be this weird heel on the back here, because they're just walking on the toes. The heel is literally what this joint is up here, so there can't be a heel and this, because that's the same, like, part of the leg. But I understand making concessions for balance and making a figure be able to stand on its own. And it's such a staple, seemingly, of the Hammond collection line, it's hard to hold it against any individual figure. My inclination is that the Dilo goes on the low end of S tier, I think. I think so. I think it's the best small Hammond collection dinosaur. But definitely the things that are the centerpieces of the line are still the Barry, Rex, and Cerato. Yeah, I think the Dilo going there is not bad by any means. It's a little kind of buried under my camera, but that's fine. Yeah. Same tier as the big figure, but on the opposite end of the spectrum. That feels right. I think it goes ahead of the Trike for accuracy, marginally so. And as a figure, there's a little bit more to do with it than with the Trike. The Trike is very static. Just making sure I think this is what it should be. I think this is where I fall. I think this is my final opinion. My window, oh gosh, resizing the window just makes it even weirder. Okay, that's fine. There's the window. That's why the Dilo was cut off, because the sizing on the window was still weird from when I zoomed in on that picture. Okay, well, I think we can probably end this video here. The Dilo, there's simultaneously more to talk about with a figure that's a rehash of a previous Amber collection, and also just less, because it's like, we've seen the Mattel's take on the Jurassic Park Dilophosaur, and we know where it, lacks. And it's not surprising that the second iteration of the collector figure similarly lacks in some ways. Yeah. But yeah, I think it's still bottom of S. I'm really tempted to put it at the top of A, but I don't know. No, it's S tier, I think. Alright, let's end this video before I just continue to deliberate over the exact placement of this Dilophosaur. Catch you in the next Hammond Collection video, which should be the Pachycephalosaurus releasing later this year. Now that one, I am very interested in seeing, because I like the Lost World's take on the Pachycephalosaurus, and I don't think we've ever had quite a fantastic figure for it. The best one is the large-scale Kenner Lost World Pachycephalosaurus, but it's really oversized. And while it does have that amusing little headbutting feature, it makes the neck connection point really large, which ruins the display quality of the figure. I'm a grown-ass man buying children's toys, so I'm looking for different things than the kids are looking for. I want display quality. I don't care about action features. So if we can get a really nice collector Pachycephalosaurus that just looks great, I'm so down for that. So hopefully that figure is a solid S tier. I'm really hopeful for that. I suspect that Pachy's going to end up being the pinnacle of the small figures, because the preview images look so good. So, all right, until then.